Hey everybody, Trolling Bully here, the troll you can trust, back with the Walking Dead roast map video, featuring my thoughts on Faction Onslaught after its third go-around, basically the current state of Faction Onslaught. From what I have seen on the forums and some line chats, it has been mostly either people really liking Faction Onslaught or really hating it, and not too many people in the middle. So I decided to try to break this down and see what could have been the driving forces to people being on opposite ends of the spectrum here. Let's first start off with 3 match rules, as that is our restrictions. Restrictions is what makes games fun by design. We have to figure out what we can do based on what we cannot do, or basically what we're not allowed to do, which is where the tactics and strategy come into play. Let's take a look at the first round of Faction Onslaught from a diamond level faction perspective. This is where factions had 240 lives, and everybody was given 9 energy, period 1. This would mean that you would need 27 faction members active in period 1 to clear it. First time around, to me, at this right here, it was really bad. And based on what you can see for round 2, I am pretty sure they understood that as well. As they literally just cut the lives right in half for round 2. But for round 1, as you can see, needing 27 people ready to go, guns blazing, is a tremendous feat to get. Not impossible, but when your game for the last 3 years revolved around all-out war and cross-region war, in which those events shaped the structure of factions, makes having 27 people extremely hard to do. But what does this mean though? This means if you want to score and get decent rewards for all-out war and cross-region war, you will need a daytime and a nighttime crew. And hell, maybe more, to make sure your faction can consistently score points throughout the event. Because rewards? So in the realm of the highly competitive factions, needing 27 to complete in the first period goes against a structure pretty much ingrained in the community, which was going back to the all-out war cross-region war comment. So you can all see how this can be an issue, as clearing period 1 gives the most points, and if people are wanting to climb ranks, then you can see excessive spending occurring, as it would average around $5 a Faction Onslaught, which is insane. I think for the grand opening, this should have been a bit more ironed out, no doubt, and the ability to even purchase more energy should have been off the table. It should have been disabled until the event itself gets structured and panned out. As for the rewards, they were terrible. As much as I understand there may have been more specific things that were wanting to be tested, so I can understand certain areas being overlooked. But for a grand opening of a new event, to only get legendary medals and some tokens was very underwhelming and didn't feel that rewarding at all. There wasn't really much fulfillment for the rewards in this event. I just saw it as kind of limited excitement. Basically what I mean is you just have to get lucky for a reward. As for the second time factions came rolling around, they were given 120 lives, directly cutting round 1 lives in half. Players of the faction were then given 8 energy in the first period. This meant you only needed 15 faction members to clear in the first period. This is half the amount of lives we had for round 1 of Faction Onslaught. This fits the paradigm of how factions are structured a lot more than before. To me, this is better all around and is more of an even playing field for everyone, but I am not saying that this is the magic number. Needing 50% of your faction compared to 90% for a period 1 clear, and for our mid-tier and mid-competitive factions and players out there, I see this as a great change for you all. It might have been before at the point where you couldn't complete it at all, making you go for the full time, thus less matches, thus less points, which equals less rewards, to now potentially completing in period 2, getting more factions back into the queue cycle, making queue timers even faster, and potentially more accurate for everyone around your faction league rank. The rewards for this time were better. This time we get rewards from defeating someone occurring more often. The items that were dropping this time were league tokens, combat mod boxes, bronze, silver, and gold, elite tokens, and probably some other items where RNG wasn't in my favor. As for round 3 of Faction Onslaught, which was the most recent version of Faction Onslaught, we were now given 150 lives, 8 energy for the first period, which would require 19 faction members to clear in the first period. So at this point, we have seen the extreme high and the extreme low, and now it seems we are trying to place that dart somewhere in the middle. My question here is, why would they increase the lives? Going from round 1 to round 2, we have an example based on a 3-year foundation of the game, but what does adding 30 more lives give us? Is this the magic number that is high enough to where a high majority takes this whole event casually and not in a pressured situation to always be online to make sure you have to clear period 1? Well, that is what the comment section and the forums are for. We send out information, they parse it, and give us something back, rinse and repeat. But I think for your average Joe faction, this may not be that much of an effector, but if we are to jump to the higher competitive side of things and assume that a faction leader is trying to score for war and splitting the faction 50-50 for a day and night crew, then we can assume 15 active people for the first period. And now for them to be competitive and clear in the first period, it is going to require them to spend. So for me, that magic number would be no then. I think where they were at round 2, needing 15, was a better number for player engagement. I am not sure if I would go higher than needing more than 19, which is 64% of your faction for clearing period 1 though. I think it is very important at this point to make sure you all get how you feel about Faction Onslaught in a constructive manner on the forums or relay it to JB through line. As you can see, they are trying, which is a very nice thing to see and a good feeling. I understand this is supposed to be more of a relaxing and slower paced event than War, but I think the highly competitive should be able to push this with current faction structures that revolve around all-out war and cross-region war. As for the rewards, in this third round, I would say they were the exact same as round 2. But as for the amount, it felt to me that they occurred more often. Or maybe I just got lucky. For me personally, I have enjoyed Faction Onslaught, and I play it very casually with work, making videos, and real-life addictions. This fits perfectly for me, and it is more engaging to me than a level up, a survival road, or a raid tournament. If this event's going on and you don't have much free time, then this is a very nice event, I would imagine. But if you have tons of free time and you are really used to the fast-paced war, I can see conflicts in this not being enjoyable, as it would feel too slow, but it is supposed to be a more casual event. One thing I do think that would be cool is if there was a Faction Onslaught going on with the 100% combat mod removal discount like we had last month, and a level up event, I think would be a really nice trifecta, as I can see the chance to get gear from the level up rewards while testing that survivor out you just leveled up with a multitude of combat mods to get a better feel for that survivor with the choice of 30 players to raid to get a true test of power, as you do have a lot more options to test out for team comps. This is a bit of a personal rant, and I hope you can see where I'm coming from. I personally think the ability to purchase energy for Faction Onslaught should be removed. I personally think this would allow them to structure a 12 to 15 player activeness to clear period 1 and would be purely skill based. If you fail an attack, then you failed, no takesy backsies, and you need to deal with it and come up with a better strategy next time. I can understand spending to prepare, but having a system set up to where you need to spend just for the sake of being competitive on the battlefield, I disagree with for this event. Faction Onslaught was created to be more chill, relaxing, nowhere near as fast-paced as all-out war or cross-region war, so why have something in place to speed it up? I'll take it further as you spend, the cost goes up. Since the initial prices are already somewhat expensive and then get extremely expensive after that, which is to deter constant spending, then why have the ability to purchase in the first place? Next is, no matter what option you choose, you only get one extra attack. That's it. To me, this ability to purchase energy just seems to making a fair and balanced system that much harder. Another topic I have seen discussed is milestones for Faction Onslaught. I can honestly see both sides to not having them and having them. Just because we do get more rewards dished out doesn't necessarily mean we get a lot more rewards throughout the week. I can see it if we got milestones that, yes, we may come out a bit more with loot throughout the week, but for loot to be dished out for Faction Onslaught milestones, to me, it would be taken out in other rewards or milestones for other events. Basically, just so there's not too much stuff being flooded into the game. There has to be some control of that. I would agree with milestones as just from a concept of get stuff good, and this gives a sense of fulfillment. This is something tangible that we can work towards instead of relying on the slot machine to get stuff. Not having milestones, though, I feel fits the design of Faction Onslaught. Would you all agree that knowing that you can work towards something and guarantee yourself rewards for effort would take away from the relaxing and chill feeling this event was designed for? I feel there might be more, I just need one more game and I got it, or stress due to being inactive at the start to push yourself and potentially hating yourself for missing out on progressional milestone rewards. I can also see this leading to a more selfish approach to your average player, leaving weaker players in a faction, in certain cases, shit out of luck due to no one easy to raid, which the purpose of Faction Onslaught was to encourage faction communication so that people can get in the most efficient tax possible. And that is enough of my ranting and rambling, and those are my perspectives on Faction Onslaught. There is without a doubt more things to discuss with Faction Onslaught, and only when we pick a side on a debatable topic and advocate for it in a way that can be parsed and translated to know where we are coming from so that we can get the changes desired. You may agree with what I have to say, and if you don't, downvote the shit out of the video. If I happen to miss anything, then please scroll diggity down, clickety clack on that mouse, and crush those keys to let them know what could potentially make a better gaming experience for The Walking Dead: Road to Survival. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video and made you laugh 40 anything positive, please give a nice karate chop to the like and subscribe button. Make sure you leave a comment down below. Sports greatly appreciated. And other than that, I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye bye.